Newsbrief. Playtika has been working to expand its presence in the casual games market for a while now, and the latest move in that direction is the establishment of the casual games app. Playtika announced the new Tel Aviv-based division this week, noting that the casual games lab aims to focus on the ideation, creation, and rapid development of casual games. It expects that effort to result in the launch of multiple new games per year. Prior to this, Playtika has been building up its casual games offerings through the acquisitions of companies like Wooga and Supertreat. In a press release, the company also notes that the casual games lab itself was built off of the 2017 acquisition of Button Games. Writing a script for an opening scene, a prologue of the game, is a very tricky task. It's easy to underestimate its significance and make it too short and meaningless, or to bother the player with an extensive exposition. Before we dive into the analysis of games intentions, let's figure out what goals a good prologue strives to achieve. And, boy, there are plenty of goals. First of all, the prologue must give the player brief information about where the action takes place, not only about time or geographic location, but most importantly about culture, society and the general mood of this area, as well as cover key past events and personalities. It need not go into too many details and rehash all history of the world, or lineage of each character. Of course, unless the author is as good at it as Tolkien, whether it's Geralt of Rivia Doomguy or Mario, the player needs to understand what role is given to him, so that he can immerse into it. To achieve it, a good intro helps to grasp at least the basic character concept. Who is he? Broadly speaking, a brutal and grim witcher, impatient and badass doomslayer, a fun and tenacious plumber. Usually, such high concept is a mix of common behavior pattern and things at which the character is good: hunting monsters, kicking demons' asses, or jumping on the pipes. Story-driven games should also give the player a hint on the protagonist's flaw. We all know that nobody can be truly perfect, so if the character has an Achilles, heel will ultimately make him more believable and less flat. Thus engage the player into his story deeper. Apart from the main info about setting under protagonist, prologue also should give the player a premise for the whole story. What this game will be about: aliens, invasion of the peaceful town, humanity surviving in the radioactive wasteland, cruel guns confronting with each other. No matter what it is, only major conflicts may attract the player's interest. Cause it's not real life. If everything is fine in this world, then why should anybody strive to change something? That deeply boring. Once the main conflict is established, the player needs to know what exactly his role is in all this. Sometimes it is obvious. In Mario, the story's global conflict struggles to save princess while confronting Koopas coincides with the protagonist's goal, because, well, somehow he's the only one who cares about the princess. But in games like Mass Effect, Skyrim, Dragon Age, the main character plays only some part in the global conflict. Commander Shepard is not the only one who stands against Reapers. At least I hope so. And he is not the admiral of the whole fleet. His goal is to eventually outsmart Reapers, find their weak spot, while the rest of the galaxy is just fighting with them head to head. And since there is an illusion of a living world, which is also taking some actions, we as players feel even more important once we are given a specific and unique role in the game story. Just like in movies, prologue must kickstart the story and show why it begins right here, right now, and not 2 weeks earlier or 5 years later. Usually, Something happens after which there is no way back for the protagonist. Think of Mass Effect 2. It was not enough to just show us that Reapers are still out there in the opening scene. No, it needed a scene where the Reaper destroys Shepard's ship and kills his team, as well as Shepard himself. And it's purely clear yet. The threat is real, and Shepard must do something ASAP once he is resurrected. Of course, for games that have a personalized antagonist, it's usually a good move to at least give a hint about him in the very beginning. The existence of a powerful and mystical adversary makes the story's conflict sharper, and the player's motivation clearer. Obviously, eventually he will have to confront exactly this mighty bad guy. Thus, the player starts to anticipate this conflict beforehand. Phew! It's quite a few things which need to be done in the prologue. Do not you think? It's complicated by the fact that just like in movies, all this must be done under the first 15 minutes, ideally less. Should the prologue be longer, the player will consider it excessive and boring, as it look like the game is preventing him from actually playing it. So, how do developers approach this complex task? Well, since there is so much info to convey and so little time to do it, the most common solution is a voice-over narration. It's simple, brief and effective. The game just tells the player everything he needs to know via monologue of some narrator, via dialogue between two characters at best, while a cool cutscene plays in the background. Brilliant solution, or not? To figure it out, let's take a look at a pretty standard example of such prologue in Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 opening scene consists of two parts, the voice-over narration and an action scene. You can watch it here. https://www.youtube.com watch.
VSZZYTUIV4.
In the first part, the narrator tells us the following. So, you want to hear another story? One where the fate of Pandora hangs in balance. If not, too bad. I am telling you anyway. First, there was the vault and alien prison, opened with a mystical key. To the warriors who opened it, the vault was just a container of tentacles and disappointment. They vanished into the wasteland, certain that the vault had held no treasure at all. They were wrong. The vault's opening triggered the growth of iridium, a priceless alien element. Soon the rare and valuable mineral emerged all across Pandora. In this part, we have learned about the setting and events of the previous game. Its appearance attracted many, including the Hyperion Corporation. They came to Pandora to mine iridium and bring order to the savage planet. Through their excavations, Hyperion uncovered evidence of an even greater vault. Their leader vowed to find it, to use its power to civilize the Borderlands, once and for all. Here we find out the main conflict of the story: Hyperion versus Pandora. But Hyperion were not the only ones searching for the next vault's alien power. The call of danger and loot is not so easily resisted. Certain warriors came to Pandora in droves to uncover its hidden secrets. Some would call them adventurers, others call them foes. But I call them old hunters. Our story begins with them, and with a man named Handsome Jack. And now we understand that we will take the role of vault hunter. So our ultimate goal is to open another vault. We were also given a hint about the villain named Handsome Jack. Next, the action scene starts. We see a wandering skag gets lassoed by the body with lots of weird cycles. A few seconds later their car crashes into the passing train. At first glance, this moment might seem needless. But in fact, it tells us a lot about the mood of the Borderlands world. It's crazy, brutal, and it has a dark sense of humor. After it, Cool music starts playing and we see all protagonists in the train fighting with Hyperion soldiers. Each hero has his own style, and uses unique abilities to kill enemies, so this sequence's purpose is to introduce main characters to us, and show their strengths. We do not see their flaws though, but the protagonist in Borderlands is not so well developed and it's fine. Finally, characters get into the last wagon, that turns out to be a trap of Handsome Jack, full of explosives. The train blows up. This scene reintroduces the antagonist to us, and creates an inciting incident when our friends died. Confrontation with Jack becomes very personal. Thus, by the end of this intro, we know everything we need about the world. Conflict. Goal. Protagonist.